Hey, welcome to the Duke It Out podcast. We got a special guest today, John Brown, a fellow comedian. And so what's up, man? How you doing?
Not too bad. Stayed up till like 4 a.m. watching the Beatles documentary, but I was a little late getting over here.
Oh, yeah. Dude, this weekend has been a crazy one for the podcast. We did a 3:15 in the morning start podcast on Friday, and it's Sunday now.
Yeah.
Did you guys have one yesterday too?
No, we only did the one this week. But we want to start getting more recorded just so we can take a week off if we need to or whatever. Because I just like to make sure we have something regularly in the feed. You know. Yeah, dude. My inspiration to work my schedule to fit a podcast in, and figure out time, especially with the holidays coming up. I'm it's fleeting, so it's like. When I'm in that podcasting mood, I schedule a bunch of them. So I did 3 this weekend, and I'll probably do. I have at least 2 next weekend, and so if I get 5 in these next 2 weeks, I can kind of be all right, let me just find one that I really want to do, and just start again with this one. It's time. I like to go in I don't know. I go hard for 2 weeks, chill for 2 weeks usually. Yeah, that's true. I mean, it would be easier probably for the holidays for us to do a couple, 3 or 4 next week or something. Maybe we'll try to do that.
I'm thinking I'm going to come to your guys' New Year's show. I'm trying to see if my girlfriend wants to go do that for a New Year's Eve night.
Yeah, that's going to be a badass show. Brendan Ayer's one of my favorite comics.
Really? I've never heard him, so I'm excited.
Dude, he's great. I've never met him yet. He just moved back to Cleveland 6 months ago, but he does a lot of road dates and shit, so he's not really in the mic scene very much in Cleveland.
Yeah, he's from New York, or he moved to New York?
No, he started in Cleveland, and all this I know from listening to his podcast, Shit Brains, and David Horney and Steve Murr's podcast. You Can't Laugh at That. He did an episode of that, and I think he was on that. But anyway, I just know that from listening to him on podcasts that he started in Cleveland, but I think he was only in Cleveland for 6 months before he moved out to New York.
Oh, yeah.
And because, he talked about, I think it was on David and Steve's podcast, he talked about that he kind of threw himself into the fire moving to New York when he did. And,
yeah, if I was 6 months is 2 months away from me. So if I in 2 months tried to move to a big comedy scene, I feel like you'd get eaten alive by the crowds for a minute there, trying to just transfer.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do it now. I mean, I'm 2.5 years in, and I'm not brag or anything, but I was one of the quickest people to feature at Funny Stop, Pete said, and I think I'm doing pretty well for myself, but I still wouldn't want to move somewhere now. I don't think I'm ready.
Oh really? I don't know. I think if you have I got 5 minutes that I like, if you can, you're going to do what? You can do 20, 30?
Half hour.
You have a half hour?
Yeah.
So if you have a half hour, you could definitely go, I think you could go anywhere and tell what, you feel it out, do it. I mean, maybe you don't want to move there and live that lifestyle.
Yeah, I don't want to struggle in another city.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Meet everyone again, and
I want to be one of the best in Cleveland,
and then start touring from.
Yeah, I want to be one of the best in Cleveland. Start doing a lot of road dates and shit, and then maybe move somewhere like that. It's. I have a long road ahead of me, but it's. I think I know what I want.
Yeah.
I don't want to have a regular job, basically, and I'm trying to make that happen in the next 5 years. I can't work at my current job for more than another 5 years.
Yeah, dude, that's how I started my podcast was talking all about that. Was just the Dream Tour. When it was called the Dream Tour, it was all about just talking to people about what they want to do that's out of the regular. And I've always known that since I was a young kid, that I don't want to work a standard job. I want to do something creative, something that I'm into.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, especially when you start doing something that you love, it makes your regular job so mundane. I'll go out I'll do shows on Friday and Saturday nights, and you crush and have a whole crowd cheering for you and shit. And then I go into work on Monday and put cups and lids into a machine, and it's just this fucking sucks.
Yeah.
It's
exactly.
It's a job that I loved before I started
No one at work
doing.
laughs at my jokes.
I loved my job before I started. That's not true. I loved my job before I started doing comedy.
I work by
though.
myself, so it's like me in the office with a computer and like, you know, one other person. Talk to them a couple times a day, so
yeah,
it gets. I can handle that. It's not a big deal to me, but it can get boring.
Yeah. I mean, working at a factory is probably the most boring job you can have. But I liked it because it was good. It was good pay. It was an easy job, good benefits.
Well,
but
the one thing is, if you have time for your mind to roam a little bit, that's good for comedy in your job.
True. Yeah, I do come up with a lot of jokes when I'm at work because I basically just listen to podcasts and, like I said, put cups and lids into a machine all day. So
I want to say Mark Norman said he was a janitor in New York because he didn't have to think about, you know, what he was doing too much. Like, he didn't, like, when you're running that freaking floor waxer overnight, you can kind of just do your pattern and think. So he was able to write a lot of jokes that way.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. It is. I do write a lot of jokes at work. I mean, because you're bored and your mind starts spinning. And with me, like, I never sit down to write. So my jokes come in chunks. Like, I'll just think of a funny concept and just start running with it.
Yep.
I mean,
that's kind of how I do it too. Like, literally, I would listen to Bert Kreischer on the Bertcast interview, Meta World Peace.
Yeah.
And that I'm just sitting there listening to the interview, and I'm like, Meta World Peace, and they're talking about him changing his name, and I was like, Facebook's called Meta now.
Yeah. That's a weird thing too, because I think that joke you do is funny, but I also think it's not fresh on people's mind, like the Meta World Peace thing.
Yeah, Meta World Peace is a throwback.
Yeah, I think
but
that might
Facebook
be
changing its name to Meta is current. So it's like a weird combination of like.
Yeah, that's why I think with that joke, something you might have trouble with it. Like maybe you need a little bit more context because it's like. Unless you were like a huge basketball fan, you probably don't remember that the guy changed his name to Meta World Peace. You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's not something I think would like move on too far with me. But like, if I have a crowd that's a bunch of 40-year-old white dudes, they know exactly that. They know that. So like, you know, it's you kind of got to know your crowd a little bit there. Like that works on middle-aged dudes that remember big sports stuff. You know?
Yeah. It's weird what some people don't know. When you assume that people know stuff, it's weird. I had a lady who didn't know about the Jared Subway thing, and
you serious?
Yeah, and I did that joke.
That was big news.
I did that joke, and I didn't see it happen, but another comic in the crowd was sitting behind her and her husband, and was like, what? She was. I guess she asked her husband what happened to Jared. And he had to like explain it to her like during my set, and I didn't even notice it was happening because they weren't in the front row or anything. Yeah. But and they were being courteous about it. Like,
and they told you afterwards?
Yeah, no, another comedian told me about it afterwards.
He was sitting over.
Yeah,
dude, that's funny, dude. We were talking about this the other day. We were saying like being 21 and doing it. There's I'm like, man, people will tell stories of things they did, and I'm like, man, I have 10 years less life experience of stories and experiences with friends and different things that run by you that makes me want to change my jokes every week, every time I do something new.
Yeah, and it's the same with our buddy Carter. We talked about that on his podcast that hasn't came out yet. But yeah, I think it is a slower progression for younger comics because you're still trying to find yourself as a person as you're trying to find yourself as a comic. You're still going through the life experiences that somebody like me who started when they were 33 had already been through.
The 20s. You already did the 20s, you know?
Yeah.
You can still tell jokes about the 20s.
Right.
Because you lived
and I do. Yeah. I do a lot of the stories and stuff I do are from when I was younger. I mean,
yeah, the 20s is. I can tell you, being 21 is an exciting time. It's a lot of fun.
Of course it is. Yeah, and it's. I do feel bad for your generation though because you have a lot more. You have a lot less, like, I don't know, privacy. Like stuff like that. Like way more exposed to like everything you do is on the internet. Like it's
dude. I mean, I'm as old as the year, so 2021. I'm 21. So like, Facebook came out when I was like, 11 years old.
Yeah.
So like.
Yeah, dude. So when Facebook might have came out when you were how old?
I think 2011, 12 is when like people started using that weren't college kids.
Yeah. So it was. I remember. I think it was like. Shit, I was like 21. I think whenever I had Facebook, but you had to have an EDU account to have it.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember we had this party at Akron U where we they like just came. They just made the feature that you could use Facebook invites or whatever.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and so we had this party over on Annandale Street in Akron U, and there was like 5 of us that invited all of our friends that we had on Facebook.
Oh gosh.
And we didn't realize like what the power of social media until that night, I think, because there ended up being like 300 people at this little house in Akron.
Yeah.
And like the whole front yard was full, the whole backyard was full, the inside was full. The cops came like just to tell people that they needed to move their cars from the apartment complex across the street. Yeah. And they're like, if we have to come back again, we're going to start ticketing. And we're like, well, I guess people are going to get tickets because there's no, like
they're getting all these people out of here.
Yeah. It was crazy.
At college, we had this party. I don't even know when it was. It was just some random Friday. We were like, hey, let's put out a Snapchat on everyone's story. Say, hey, there's a beach-themed party at this house. Dress beach.
Yeah.
And then, so it's freaking 2:30 in the morning, and there's like me. So I had the basement of the house, and then my 2 buddies had the bedrooms upstairs, and so we're all sitting down in my room just smoking, like the party's going on the floor above us. Like a lot of our friends are there.
Yeah.
And so we text our friends group chat and we say, hey, we just said stay. And I ran upstairs yelling, the cops are freaking coming! They're on the way! And the house cleared out so freaking quick.
Yeah. It's funny. Yeah, it's nuts to me. Like, and you do the joke about your dad having to find porn in the woods or whatever.
Magazine. Yeah.
Yeah, like that's like legit. Like I remember whenever I was like 8 years old and we were like playing. In Texas we used to like play. We had these big ass sewer openings that we used to like play around. It was gross as fuck now that I think about it, but we used to like play around these sewer openings and shit.
Dude, kids be kids.
We thought we were being Ninja Turtles, like that was our thing. And yeah, the one time we went like into the sewer a little bit and we found some Playboys in the fucking sewer. Like it was.
Dude, that's that's worth going in.
Yeah, like
those might be dirtier than your average Playboy, though.
People used to. Well, it wasn't like a. I don't know how to explain it. It wasn't like
a walkway along the side or something.
Yeah, it wasn't like a sewer that was used for sewage. I think it was just like
some water drainage.
Yeah, water drainage. That's all it was, and it was like the manhole. The drainage.
Whatever the gutters run to.
Right. Yeah.
Or whatever those things on the side of the street.
That's basically what it. Well, yeah. Gutters,
or is that just houses?
That's what we called them. Yeah, but that's basically what it was. But yeah, people used to hide shit, cigarettes, Playboys, like whatever. They didn't want their parents to find. They'd hide in the fucking
in the woods,
in the sewer or the woods or whatever. Like, that was. Dude, that was it.
See, luckily, with my generation, it is like crazy with the internet because we grew up with it, and the internet's growing with us. Like it's changing faster than we are, and we've always had it pretty much. Like in my memory, the internet, like as soon as I was old enough to be able to understand the internet, I had it.
Yeah.
We had computer class from like 1st, 2nd grade up. Playing on the internet, figuring stuff out.
Yeah, I also think you're a little desensitized to things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you literally it's also like desensitization and immediate gratification are 2 things.
That's what that joke's about with the magazines. I always had that instant gratification.
Yeah,
And then it gets dark at the end of that joke.
Yeah,
right?
you have everything you could ever want at your fingertips, and it's like, I mean, when it comes to porn or whatever, like you have everything you want, music, like you have everything you want at your fingertips.
Movies.
Yeah, we had to work for shit. You know, I mean, we had to like whenever I was a kid, like we bought CDs. We went to Blockbuster and rented movies. Like it was like, but yeah, I think the internet grew with my generation because I mean, whenever I was a kid in like elementary school and shit, we started with like the original like Macintosh computers when we were like just playing like Oregon Trail and shit. Like that was all you had.
I played some Oregon Trail in computer class.
Yeah. And then we upgraded as we grew up. I mean, you know, when I was in 7th, 8th grade, everybody started getting home computers with dial-up internet, and then when I was in high school, it upgraded to what we have now, like the high speed internet
and Wi-Fi and all that.
Yeah, and then you had MySpace, and then from MySpace came Facebook, and then like it's just
and then Twitter, and Twitter's hell. I don't do Twitter.
MySpace was probably my favorite iteration of social media.
Really?
Because it wasn't like.
Dude, you could have been Dane Cook if you got big on MySpace.
It was cool because it was more your page and shit on MySpace was for like high school and middle school kids. Like your page on MySpace was more a representation of you, basically. Like you could like
music
design
attached to it, right?
Yeah, you could design your page with like whatever colors and designs you wanted. You could put music on your page and shit like that. Like it was
like a Tinder.
Yeah, kind of, but it actually played when people went to your page.
Oh, that's cool.
Like automatically. And so like, you know, if you were like crushing on a chick and you knew what kind of music she liked, you'd put that fucking music on your page to try, you know, like it was
Dude, I think that's actually like on Tinder, I think having a good song is like is more important than your description or your pictures. to a lot of girls.
Yeah. See, I'm the type that like I'm kind of a snob with it where like if a girl doesn't like the majority of the music that I like, I don't I'm not really interested anyways. Like that's important to me.
Yeah, you don't have to be like into my music, but I don't want you to hate it, you know?
Yeah.
Like if I'm a type of person like I don't know a bunch of different music, but like I like pretty much any type of music.
Yeah, I just hate 90s pop and
90s pop
and pretty much all pop country. I can't stand.
Oh, you don't like pop country, so you don't like what is who's like a good example of that?
Like mainstream country, like I don't know, like Blake Shelton, Luke Combs.
So you don't like Luke Combs? That's what I was gonna.
Not really. No, I like the outlaw country, like back in the day, Waylon Jennings, Johnny Cash. Now like Sturgill Simpson and Chris Stapleton, like I like those guys, but yeah, it's just the overproduced shit. I'm not a fan of.
It's all that instant gratification generation, you know. They need more. That's my thing with music is like music went from some dude singing out loud to freaking techno music and completely computerized music where there's no instruments involved besides your computer in like less than 100 years.
Yeah, which I like that. I like that stuff. Like Daft Punk's one of my favorite.
Yeah.
One of my favorite musicians of all time. Like I like Daft Punk and Dab Mount 5 and shit like that. But
but music changed so fast. I feel like you could have there's a lot of different types of music that like aren't popular that are still like they got played out because there's a new style.
Yeah, well, dude, I mean, in the 90s, fucking swing bands came back for a while. You know, like, it's I think it was like the Brian Setzer Orchestra or some shit had a couple songs, and it was, that Zoot Zoot Riot song was huge. Like,
I wish someone would bring back barbershop quartets. That'd be I don't care, bro.
Yeah, it's there's all kinds of different people. I'm not into some of the music that you're into. Like, I'm not into the like SoundCloud rappers. Like, I'm just not.
Oh yeah.
I just don't like I basically don't like if it's not like pure techno where it's all fucking where it's all fucking electronic music.
All music.
I don't really like music that's like overproduced.
Yeah.
That's.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
I like the stripped down shit. Like
Yeah. See, I'm not like crazy knowledgeable. Like when I listen to music, like I don't exactly know what's going on with it, like with the playing it, but like I know what I like when I hear it. You know?
Yeah.
I have friends who make music, and so like they know they hear like all the different layers, and like they know how it goes into it, so you can hear the different parts that like I would never even imagine. And when they talk about it, I'm like, I like the song, man.
Yeah. I think for me, really, I think it's with hip hop now. It's the auto tuned stuff. Like I think Drake ruined hip hop.
I'm not a Drake fan.
I do. Like he made the auto tune singing, rapping popular, and then you had all of the SoundCloud rappers kind of mimic him, but go in more of an emo style. And
talking about Juice WRLD right now.
Well, yeah, Juice WRLD, and there's like 20 others that are like Juice WRLD. You know,
yeah, there's some people like Juice WRLD, but I think I love Juice WRLD, so I'm biased, but. I like Juice WRLD because I think he was actually he pulled himself into a separate category from all those other style of emo rappers for me, because like I don't know if you've ever listened through some Juice WRLD albums, but he'll go from like singing like he'll sing a whole song about his girlfriend, and then he'll sing like freaking like hardcore metal rock song with Ski Mask, and then he'll do like a more rock rap song, and then he'll do like a trap rap song. So he goes all over the place.
I mean, to me, his music that I've heard,
and he's never written a lyric.
Yeah,
he went for an hour straight freestyling on.
That's crazy.
He had some legit potential. I mean, he died at 21.
Yeah.
So he had some legit potential to be in the next 10 years one of the most talented artists of my generation.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Juice WRLD is like the music I've heard from him was kind of like
his popular songs are not my thing.
Kind of like Blink-182 with hip hop beats. You know, I mean that's how I describe him whenever. But he had some good beats. I mean, I mean he I think Godzilla was the song that Eminem did that was the Juice WRLD beat. I love that song. It's a great beat. Dude,
Juice the songs that like people that are like super popular are not my favorite songs from him. I like let me look here. I should know this. Like it's my favorite song by him, but it's just not coming to me right now. But
it's just weird that the generation of to me the generation of rappers that came out of the Drake popularity, and I wish they would have instead came out of the J. Cole popularity.
We got 2014 Forest Hills Drive on vinyl. We only got a couple vinyls, but that's one of the best albums ever. Yeah. That is probably the best album ever made.
I like KOD better, but
really?
I think KOD is one of the best hip hop albums.
It's got some reminiscence for me. 2014 Forest Hills Drive. I was 14 years old, and freaking.
Yeah. I feel. I mean, he's my favorite like current rapper. I would say. I mean, other than I still love Eminem, but
yeah.
See, like for me, Eminem was the like groundbreaking artist whenever I was growing up.
I loved Eminem growing up. So when I got that MP3 player, and I went on iTunes and I downloaded my songs. My parents listened to like country radio, 94.9 in the car, and then like my mom would play Christian music.
Yeah.
So like when I got my MP3 player, it was like this world of change. I could listen to whatever I wanted. My older brother showed me Drake, Eminem, and Lil Wayne. And I got everything I could by them, and I was just on the bus like
See, I remember, this will date me, but I remember the day, because whenever Eminem came out, the Slim Shady LP, he like just broke the world. Yeah, like he was the biggest thing in music in like. I would say Eminem was like the biggest thing in music in the 90s. Like there was nothing more influential in the 90s than when Eminem came out, other than since Biggie and Tupac. Like that was it. and when he came out, like when he came out with the Slim Shady LP, it like went crazy and everybody loved it. It was my favorite album. And then when the Marshall Mathers LP came out, the day it came out, I rode my bike to I was a freshman in high school. I rode my bike to Time Traveler, the record store on State Road that's no longer there, and bought the CD and went home and put it in my parents' CD player in the living room and laid down on the living room floor and listened to the whole thing, and it just like blew my mind. Like it was like he was. I mean, yeah, a lot of his early stuff would be controversial if it came out now. It was controversial then. Yeah, honestly.
I mean, but he's like, I mean, he was young, 20s. You say stupid stuff all the time.
Yeah, he would have gotten canceled if he came out now. I mean, it's.
Yeah, but he's uncancelable now. Yeah, he's too good. Yeah. He's too big. It's like that's like trying to cancel like Joe Rogan. Like you couldn't. Well, dude, he's bigger than cancellation.
You probably don't remember this, but well, you weren't alive, I guess. But in the mid '90s, late '90s, there were like groups. I forget what the group was called, but there were groups of parents that used to have protests where they would burn Eminem and Marilyn Manson CDs.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, like it was. It was crazy. So ridiculous.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Was it at the church?
They were like the devil. No, they did it on like the Capitol steps and like.
Oh my gosh.
In like different states and shit.
Trying to ban. I hate the idea of banning speech. That makes me so angry. Yeah. That's the one thing that I care probably the most about in this country is our speech.
Yeah, and now like people talk about cancel culture all the time. I even said it a little bit ago, but. There really is no cancel culture. Like unless you do something that's like illegal, you know. I mean, it's like nothing. Like, but you have like, you still have the freedom of speech. You just have to face the consequences of that speech. I mean, it's I mean, with society. I mean, that's
the thing that about cancel culture that I agree with that. Where it's just like, you have to deal with the consequences of what you say, but. With this internet generation, the short memory of a mistake is gone. If you were a comedian in the 90s and you made a really crappy joke that it was wrong, you probably are able, that plays on, I mean, even if you're a big TV comedian, that plays on TV one time and then they probably won't air it again if it was so controversial, and only that many people saw it, no one tweeted about it, and you can recover from your mistake and be a better person. People make mistakes and grow, and they hold people accountable. I think the cancel culture, they don't forgive like humans used to forgive.
Yeah, but like who's really been canceled though? Like I mean,
Shane Gillis came back from it. Shane Gillis,
he was fired from a job. Yeah, but he wasn't really canceled. I mean,
he's got a setback. It was a setback.
Yeah,
I don't even know what he said.
It was some anti-Asian joke that he did that SNL didn't like. Yeah. But that's the thing.
That's their perspective that it was anti-Asian. It was probably a joke that didn't come out right, you know?
Yeah, that's the thing though. Like you have to face the consequences of your speech, and if a company doesn't like something that you say,
they can fire
and you're not like union or anything, they can fire you.
Yeah, I mean, in Ohio, you can fire anyone for just not wanting them to work there. It depends on the size of your company, but
and they have the right. They have the right to do that because whatever you say when you're working for that company as a celebrity reflects on their brand. Mm-hmm. So if they feel like you're hurting their brand, they're going to fire you. Like that's
nice. We got like a minute.
Yeah. But that's basically it. And then like you have, like if you do something like you sexually harass women or something, you're going to get canceled. Like that's just it. Like you're not going to be able to get jobs anywhere and shit because that's
fair enough to me.
Yeah. That's how it should be, I think. But I disagree with like people. The one thing I hate is like the people that, and he didn't get canceled for it. He just lost the job because of it, and he's fine now.
His special was fantastic.
Yeah, but like Kevin Hart, where they went back 10 years ago and found a tweet that people didn't like from 10 years ago.
Who does that?
And he got like, and he ended up losing the Oscars because of it. Like That's fucked up to me. Like, because society was in a different place 10 years ago.
Twitter should be like Snapchat, and like a month later, all your tweets are gone.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel. I'm
they
mixed
go
on
in
that.
Archive.
I'm mixed on that because I think politicians should have their shit out there forever.
Dude,
I do.
Okay. We'll the camera just cut out, but like the
Cool.
sound will be here for a second. We'll just we'll take a quick pause and we'll be right back.
And we are back. So we were just talking about how the politicians should have their whole Twitter profile.
Yeah.
So my idea about this is if there was an app, if everyone in America has a phone, right?
Yeah.
You'd have to guarantee that every person who has a social security number gets a phone for this. But if everyone, I mean, they've tried that. They can do that. They can pull that off. That's not that hard. Right? If everyone gets a phone, if you have a social security number, you download this app, you type in your social security number, that's your vote. That's where you vote. You vote in the app. And that's where the politicians make their campaigns, is within the app. So like if you're looking for your mayor and there's 4 people running for mayor, they all go on there. You don't allow a party system in the app because I hate that. You have to allow they have to put their policy and actual talk about what they care about as a person, as an individual politician.
Yeah.
They'll definitely align right and left. Maybe you even put there's all those different types of political tests that you take and it like graphs you. Maybe you install one of those in the app, but if you do that, the politicians have to be on the app to get elected, so they have to be putting out what they're doing, and this is also your way to directly communicate with your local mayor, with your governor, with your representatives. This is how you can send your messages to them, so it would make it more accessible between the representative and the represented people, and you would be able to see everything they did there. And if they're on other social media doing stupid stuff, that's only going to hurt them. You got to be on here and be real on this app.
Yeah, if they could do that, and
that was just I had that idea.
The problem with that is security. I mean, it would be almost impossible to keep something like that secure.
Put it on the blockchain.
But if they could do something,
do a blockchain with that.
But if they could do something like that and keep it secure, well, the problem is when it's that big, when you make it to where everybody that's a
citizen,
eligible voter would have it. You couldn't control what people that have the app let outside sources use that app. It'd be very easy for a foreign country to pay some guy in Iowa to let him into his app. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I mean, so what you'd have to. Obviously, that's just some random idea I had. Well, when I first got the idea, I was scared to talk about it in front of Siri. I was like, oh man, maybe I should pop my phone in the microwave.
No, I think the one thing that needs to happen to kind of save our democracy and what it's become is the fact that our voter turnout is fucking terrible. And so I think a big deal with that would be making it a paid holiday. You make it a paid holiday like Labor Day, Memorial Day, whatever, and you give everybody the day off. Nobody's open, and that way everybody has no excuse to not go vote.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people and that's why
they have an opinion and they're not voting.
Right, and that's why when people say that it's bullshit that minorities are disenfranchised and stuff like that, it's not, because it's just a fact that minorities are more prone to poverty, and when people are in poverty, they can't afford to take a day off work to go vote.
Mm-hmm.
And companies are supposed to let you take off to go vote, but most of them don't.
Yeah.
I mean, they're gonna tell you to take the whole day off. They're not gonna let you just take off an hour to go vote.
Yeah.
And so they need to just make it a national holiday, and that's it. I mean, it's just so stupid that we vote on a Tuesday,
mm-hmm.
and nobody's off work. You have to either take off work.
Yeah, have we been voting on a Tuesday since people had horses?
I mean, I think so. I can't remember.
I don't know if
when the exact date is that
they started that, but dude, if that's been the system for so long, that doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't, and it's a problem. It's a problem that we have, because I think if voter turnout was 90%, say, like you wouldn't have the disparity between. Right now, you have a party in the Democrats who governs. Basically, they make policy. They've passed 2 major bills. They're about to pass a third one.
Yeah.
That's going to change people's lives for decades.
Yeah.
And you have another party in the Republicans that their whole goal right now is to own the libs to try to get reelected. Like that's their whole goal.
Yeah. And
if you had like 90% voter turnout, people would vote for the party that actually helps them. So Democrats would win every election, and the Republicans would have to change their strategy and actually make policy. Yeah. And actually quit talking about societal issues. Because that's all they do. That's all they care about.
I think both parties are always talking about societal issues, like at least when it comes to news media.
Yeah, but one party's getting shit done, the other party's get like trying to still for it's been like precedent for 4 decades, and they're still trying to outlaw abortion. Like it's just
that is crazy.
It's like stuff like that. Like they care about the Republicans only care about the issues that like enrage their base of people.
Like, I think both of them do it that way, though. I mean, if you look at Democratic news, I'm not saying the Republicans don't do that. They do the same thing. They enrage people at each other. But if you watch CNN too, they're just making people mad at the Republican. They're trying to get the people mad at each other when it's really the politicians who are doing this stuff, and they're trying to get the voter base to be angry at each other through the news and through all the media that we're getting. My big problem is the fact that we only have 2 parties. Like,
yeah, but
because that doesn't represent the voters well.
I agree with that, but that's our system, and
that's the exact opposite thing that the founding fathers had in mind.
Yeah,
they said 2 parties will kill us.
But there's no chance of that changing anytime soon.
There's a chance.
So,
I think the internet could change stuff up. That's my hope, is that this new wave of information. I mean, it's changing stuff so fast right now. I don't know what it'll be in 20 years of our lives, but I think a huge change could happen with some technology that would make it like more fair to the actual policy. Because if you get less party going on, less tribalism, you get more policy, because they're actually trying to make the best policies. The idea of the government's great, you know. They go in there, they talk to their voter base, and they be like, hey, this is what we need to make this country better for us. So that's not what they're doing, though. They're trying to stick within their party's ideals so they can get along with the other people and get reelected and keep getting funding from their party funders, and they don't try and freaking make policy that, like, half of making policy is them just voting each other down and being like, no, we're not doing this because you're the other party, not because, oh, this whole policy's bad. Maybe they only want a couple things changed and they want to debate, but they take so much longer to do that because they're so focused on these party rivalries.
Yeah, well, I mean, look at the infrastructure bill that just passed.
Mm-hmm.
It was an infrastructure bill that was like hugely popular, like 80%. It polled at like 80%, and it was designed
I don't trust people who answer polls, though.
But it was designed by Republicans and Democrats.
Yeah.
It was a very bipartisan bill, and only, I think, 9 or it might have been 10 Republican senators voted for it. Like, It was because it's they don't want to do anything that the Democrats do.
Mm-hmm. And it's back and forth. They just don't want to agree with each other.
And it's but the thing I want people to understand is that, I think it should change. I don't think we should have a 2-party system. But until it does change, if you vote for a third party, you're wasting your vote. Because there's been no third-party candidate that's gotten over 5% in the presidential election.
Yeah.
So,
well, you could do it at a smaller level. You could start smaller.
Yeah, you can do it at a smaller. You can do it at a state level or a city level. But
it'd be so I'd be so hyped to have a libertarian guy run Ohio.
I wouldn't, but no.
I mean, it depends how libertarian we're talking.
I don't think I don't think. I don't know. I've seen America in the last 5 years, and I don't think we're smart enough to rule ourselves, which is basically the libertarian principle. Is
Yeah, the well, it's yeah.
I mean,
It's more rule
I
yourselves.
mean,
I like.
we elected a reality show TV star. I mean, it's I mean, it's like
I mean, dude. Honestly, I would say he's not like. If you like look at, I don't think he's that very far. Like he's not that as right as as like they put it on. Like he's not a super right guy.
no, he did whatever he did
whatever he wanted.
No, he did whatever he thought that his base wanted him to do at all times.
Yeah,
and that's all he did. He didn't give a shit about anything. He did
a couple things that were all right.
He has no political views at all. He just did whatever his base wanted him to do. He fucking donated to Hillary Clinton in the 90s. I mean, it's whenever she ran for the Senate. So it's like he was a Democrat in the 90s.
Yeah,
like,
he was.
He has no views. He just ran for the Republican Party because, and I believe he said it.
It was his best chance.
I believe he said, somebody said that, I forget what it was, but somebody quoted him, and he said that it was fake news, but somebody quoted him saying that he ran for the Republican Party because he thought the Republican base was stupid enough to vote for anybody that's a celebrity, basically. And so that's why he ran for the Republican Party. And I believe he said that at some point. I do. Like it's
dude, there's have you ever seen like the graph of like
and I'm not calling all Republicans stupid.
Oh no, I mean if you see the graph of like education by party, whichever party puts it on, it says that the other party has the dumber base, you know?
Yeah.
Like, but I think it actually goes like, so the least educated people tend to be liberal for welfare policy. The lower education, like working force, low education working force tends to be Republican. Doctors and stuff tend to be liberal again. And then once you get above doctors, the high businessmen, they tend to be businessmen again, and like your money stances, you know? People who want that Republican tax policy.
Yeah, the highest. I mean,
it goes back and forth realistically.
Yeah, but like most like highly educated people are liberal.
Yeah, but that's a controversy with the colleges, because high education in colleges, if you are a Republican, you can't teach. They won't let you work on a college campus in the United States.
I mean, that's not true. There's a lot of conservative professors and whatnot.
They have to hide it in a lot of cases.
Am I going the wrong way with this or something?
Yeah, I don't know. Do you want to take a pause and fix that thing? Yeah, we'll take a quick pause real quick.
Right.
And we're back, and the mic stand is standing back up. It's doing good. We've been struggling with it.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I want to get off of politics, but first I wanted to say that like people that we were talking about what liberalism is basically, and when people will often like conservatives, like I don't think all conservatives are stupid. I know a lot of them aren't, because I like having arguments with sensible conservatives. You know, like it's.
I'll argue with anybody. Yeah. I'll take whatever side you're. I'll take the opposite side of whatever you're on.
And that's why I know someone's stupid when they call me a liberal as an insult. Like that's because if you look at the definition of liberal, and I looked it up to be sure because I thought I knew it, but it's willing to respect or accept other behavior or opinions different from one's own, open to new ideas, or relating to or denoting a political and social philosophy that promotes individual rights, civil liberties, democracy, and free enterprise. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's and conservatives are basically. I don't know what the definition of conservative is, but it's probably just the real definition of conservative is probably like someone who wants to maintain core ideals. You know.
Well, it's conservative. The definition of conservative is basically, if I had to sum it up, is basically like
we'll give that a goog. I'll give that
less taxes.
Well, that's Republican policy.
Yeah, but that's conservatism though. It's less taxes, more smaller government. That's their whole thing. Is smaller government, state rights, and less tax.
Yeah, so it literally just says averse to change, holding traditional values.
Yeah, which is they claim traditional values as states' rights.
I do like the idea. I do like the idea of like the state being able to make some decisions. Because, like, I feel like...
Some decisions, yeah.
Because, like, the difference between New Hampshire and California is freaking insane.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, but you do need some things federally regulated.
Oh, yeah,
like
of course.
It's just... I mean, voting, for one thing, should be federally regulated.
Yeah. Weed should be federally legal.
Yes. Yeah. That's the one thing that I am 100% disappointed in Democrats for is that they still haven't managed to legalize marijuana federally. Like it's
2 years ago, some guy from Michigan told me I met this dude at a bar, and he was like, yeah, I work at this dispensary that's about to open up in Michigan. I'm like a manager guy. He's higher up in it, and he was like, dude, 2 years ago he told me, dude, 5 years the guys we're talking to in the government will pass this federally legal weed. And I'm just counting on this random bar guy to be right.
But dude, when I was in college, I was in a English composition class or some shit like that, and we had to write a persuasive paper, and and I wanted to write on legalizing marijuana. My professor was like, I suggest you don't do that because I've read so many papers on legalizing marijuana, and I was like, well, I'm going to do it anyways. So I did it, and I took it was when Colorado first legalized. Yeah. And I took the amount of money that Colorado made tax-wise.
And they did a great thing with it. They put it to schools.
Yeah, and I did the math, and I spread that out for if we legalized it federally and taxed it federally, and I think I figured out that it would erase the national deficit in 10 years. Like wow. Yeah, and it's crazy that we don't do that. I mean,
and we're putting people in prison for weed and paying taxes to that. You're not even accounting that.
Yeah.
That we're paying taxes to keep these people federally indicted, and we're not. And all they did was traffic weed, which technically at this point it's not. A lot of places it's decriminalized to have weed.
Yeah.
But
still illegal to traffic.
But trafficking is tax fraud. So you're really in prison for tax fraud, but you have to spend time in prison with murderers and rapists.
Yeah.
When what you committed was tax fraud. Right. Why aren't you in the debtor prison? You know.
Yeah.
Like if you get arrested for real estate fraud or credit card fraud, you go to a fraudulent prison, which is less intense than these other prisons. Like they aren't committing violent crimes. They shouldn't be in with violent crimes, people, and they shouldn't be in at all.
Yeah. The other thing I mentioned in that paper that I think we could do is what Alaska does with oil. We could do that federally with marijuana. So
what do they do?
They have a universal basic income in Alaska.
Oh, really?
And so every
I've heard good things about that.
Yeah, every Alaskan citizen gets a check monthly for the oil sales that come from Alaska. And we could do that federally with marijuana and have a universal basic income, and it would basically eliminate poverty in America. Yeah. I mean, it really would. I mean,
it won't eliminate poverty.
You would have people.
There's people who are just fuck it people.
No, you would have people that are still relatively poor.
Yeah,
but you wouldn't have.
You want to raise crackheads and street drunks, but
but you would pretty much erase homelessness in America. I mean, it's
unless it'd be by choice at that point.
Yeah,
it'd be like fuck it people. You know?
If you coupled that with like building the tiny houses and shit for homeless people, there wouldn't be homeless people in America. I mean, it's there's so many things that we could do to solve the problems that we have in America that doesn't get done because of the way our politics are.
Dude, and the other thing is like you talking about like doing tiny houses and universal basic income here in America. I wish America thought about America more. You know, like we're so focused on these foreign policies, and it has been like the world's important.
Yeah,
I'm not saying the other part of the world isn't important, but we're too focused on foreign stuff, and we're fucking ourselves.
Yeah, I mean
take care of your.
That's one thing that Biden has done that's been really good is he pulling out of Afghanistan. It was messy.
Yeah, it was definitely. It was funny though. I got a good joke out of it.
But it was necessary. I mean, it's something that Trump. It's something that Trump said he was going to do.
Well, he used Trump's plan.
Yeah, it's something that Trump said he was going to do. It's something that Obama said he was going to do,
Mm-hmm.
and they couldn't get it done. Trump set a plan, but he kept extending that plan because he didn't want to be responsible for the pullout because he knew it was going to be messy.
Uh-huh.
Everybody knew it was going to be messy. That's why Obama didn't do it.
That's the one thing is like Trump wrote the big Trump's. I don't think Trump actually wrote anything. I think Trump's administration wrote this plan to get out of there.
Yeah.
And Biden's administration took over and edited that plan and used it. And everyone's like, "Oh, Biden's plan was so terrible." But like, if we're being honest, Trump wrote the beginnings of that plan.
No matter what the plan was to pull out of Afghanistan, it was going to be messy.
Yeah.
There's no avoiding it.
And
because
yes, afterwards, you could look back and be like, "Oh, we fucked up." But what can you do?
If you look at it, the reason why I say that is because if you look at the fact that it took when we started withdrawing troops, it took the Taliban less than a month to take over. That obviously we did nothing for 20 years. Yeah. I mean, and it sucks to say that because there's a lot of
hella heroin.
Yeah, it sucks.
Hella heroin.
It sucks to say that because there's a lot of veterans that gave. There's not a lot that gave their lives. There wasn't that many people that died, and
I mean, there were still people though.
There was a lot of people, but there's a lot of veterans that gave a year, 2, 3 years of their life
and trauma
for Afghanistan, and trauma and PTSD and all that shit, and we didn't really accomplish anything, and that was obvious because they took over in under a month.
There's almost no reason to be there.
Right? Yeah, and it was for human rights. I mean, that's the only reason.
Mm-hmm.
Human rights and the financial reasons why the United States had to be over there, but we were spending more money there than we were gaining. By far.
We were advertising human rights and focusing. We weren't focusing on instilling human rights over there. We were focusing on.
They did a lot, though. I mean, they made it to where Kabul was basically like any other city in a normal country where
they did.
Women were going to school.
Now,
But as soon as we left, it was taken back over, and that's all erased now. So it's like we obviously didn't accomplish anything.
Yeah.
So it was time to leave, but it was going to be messy no matter what they did.
I mean, dude, I'm glad we're out of there. It gave me a great joke, which I don't know if I can even still use if people still remember Afghanistan on stage.
I mean, dude,
have you heard that one?
I don't know, but this is the. I think it's social media, but this is like the shortest media cycles we've ever had. I mean, when something happens in politics that's like a huge story, even Afghanistan, it was probably the biggest story in a couple years, and it only lasted like a month, and everybody forgot about it. I mean, that's... Dude, but yeah, we have
I mean, Kim K's seeing Pete Davidson now.
The chick that her boyfriend killed her or whatever, and then he killed himself. Yeah.
Dude,
that
I don't know
was
what
ridiculous.
comedian told me that, but they said, dude, for the next year, you have any bald heckler as Brian Laundrie.
Yeah.
He said for the next year you could get him with that.
I mean, that was so ridiculous because it was like, girls and people disappear every day in America.
Yeah, and they were in a national park, which is one of the leading places to disappear.
Yeah, and why when it's and I hate to make it about this, but it's
not
true.
The Bears.
Why when it's a rich white girl from the suburbs is it national news for a month?
And why is it that specific one? Why is it that specific one?
Yeah.
Like, there's so many girls that go missing all the time. There's probably a bunch of rich white girls that go missing. Why is this one? What were they bring? I feel like there has to be some type of motivation behind why the people running the company were like, let's run this instead of talking about something else.
I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea what they could have been.
I don't know what it is, but I feel like the news media, it's so financially driven that they will run stories that they think are going to make the most money over what is the most informative.
Yeah, it was a slow news time. I mean, it really was. It was a time where they were talking about the policies the Democrats were trying to pass all the time, and like it was like that was like a 3-month process. So it kind of got boring where people didn't give a shit anymore. So they had to fucking come up with something that was sensationalized that they could put on the news, and it's messed up. It was what everybody was talking about for a month. I mean, and it's like, what? This is weird. Like, people disappear in Cleveland every day. Mm-hmm. Like, what? You know?
In the defense of the news, though, news has always been sensationalized. Yes, you see it more now, but you see everything more now.
Yeah.
We started the Spanish-American War over a fake news story.
Yeah.
In a newspaper I don't know the timing, but like I think it was right after the Civil War. I don't know. Like, it was a long time ago.
I don't know. Yeah.
It was a small little war, but like we claimed that the Spanish took out an American ship by Cuba and started a war with the Spanish over it.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with
that. It's a super old one, but like people always say that the news has been. They're like, oh, the news wasn't always like this. They didn't always put out stuff to get people riled up. Yes, they have. Yes, they have.
Yeah.
They've been doing it since people.
The difference is with the news now is that now they report the news on almost every show, and I watch mainly CNN, and I watch local news at work because that's what's on our break room TV. But the problem with it now is that if you turn it on CNBC or NBC or the fake news Fox News, it's all the same. Where they basically they report the news for 2 seconds. And then they have 5 people to give their opinions on it. Like
it's all about the opinions of the news.
Yeah.
I think all the news media is that way. I think CNN, like in my opinion.
Well,
CNN,
Fox is the only network that calls themselves news that has entertainment shows. Like
oh really?
Well, every time Tucker Carlson gets in trouble, they're like, well, he's just an entertainer. It's like, well, then why does he have Fox News stamped on the corner of his fucking
that makes sense.
screen the whole time?
I just think Fox and CNN, like they're the opposite ends of the spectrum.
No.
They're opposite ends of the spectrum. They're both. I mean, CNN is Democratic news.
CNN reports the actual news, though. They just have
the Democrats
more liberal. They report the actual news. It's just when they discuss the news, they have more liberal people on to talk about the news.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
I don't know. In my mind,
it's liberal opinions.
Yeah, in my mind, CNN's Democrat news, Fox is Republican news, and you gotta get a mix of them to see what the general population is thinking.
The difference between them is the CNN still has integrity because CNN reports the news.
I feel like many conspiracies in the last few years.
No,
that they've
it's all bullshit.
So much false stuff.
CNN reports the news, and then they have opinionated people talk about the news, and that's what people take as fake news on CNN. But that's not the news. That's people's opinions about the news.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it'd be the same way with Tucker Carlson then. If
he reports false shit.
I mean, he's putting his opinions. So does CNN.
But the thing is, with CNN, when they report something false, they then put out a retractor for it. Just like the New York Times or Washington Post, they put out a retractor for it. Fox News doesn't do that.
Retractor.
Fox News doesn't apologize whenever they report false information.
But like tabloids put out false stuff all the time, and then they apologize for it.
Yeah, but tabloids, everybody knows, is putting out false stuff. But when Fox News does it, it has that news.
Oh, and CNN, when they put out their they're doing the same thing as a tabloid with that little retractment statement after they already messed up and they got it into a bunch of people's minds. I don't know. News media in general it's got some issues that need to evolve with the times, but it's hard to keep up with the internet, you know?
Yeah, I'll agree with that. I'm just not going to agree that CNN and Fox News are on a level playing field because
I think they're both real. I think they're the two most biased.
Fox News was actually created to be a conservative biased news network.
Wasn't CNN too? To be a Democratic one?
No, CNN was created by.
They're owned by some of the biggest Democratic donators.
I mean, that's most extremely wealthy people in media are liberals.
Yeah, almost all media is owned by high up liberal donators.
But that's because they're liberals because they're highly educated people, and that's the definition of liberal. I mean, it's the difference between the two parties. Honestly, is that that the Democrats are a big tent party and the Republicans are not. I mean, the Democrats have everybody from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to Joe Manchin. I mean, it's and yeah, people like me who are more towards the left spectrum are extremely frustrated with Joe Manchin. But we realize we have to work with Joe Manchin to get shit done. And I hate Joe Manchin, but like it's a necessary thing because you're not going to get a liberal Democrat elected in West Virginia. It's just not going to happen.
That's interesting because like I don't like I've said all the times I think I can't get the parties just piss me off. So like
yeah, like Joe Manchin's like fighting against climate change, which is like one of the biggest issues with the Democratic Party is he like because his donors are coal industry because that's what's in West Virginia. I mean that's
that's my biggest problem with the Republican Party. Like the biggest problem of everything that to me
it's abortion and climate change.
Yes, abortion and climate change. That's what I was about to say. Climate change pisses me off so much. Like that should not be a political issue.
Yeah, well, your generation is the first generation to actually like actively get out and protest and do shit about it. I mean, my generation cared about it. Like we care about it, but we never we didn't have a Greta Thunberg or anything that like was like a nationally known activist for climate change. Yeah. I mean, it's and people make fun of her and think she's 12 years old, she's 18, but it's it's like but she's doing what like my generation didn't do and we should have. I mean, that's
Dude, the thing with climate change is like it's so crazy because like when you watch those documentaries about like what's going on the earth, it's like the ice caps are melting, the levels in the CO2 levels are rising. This is happening. There's so many different things happening. It's like I can't wrap my head around what a solution would be. I can only understand like little parts, you know?
Well, that's what it is though. That's what our solutions are with climate change. It's little things. It's little things that add up to a big thing.
My mom doesn't. We don't use plastic in this whole house.
It's shit like that. It's like I try to do my part a little bit. I don't drive an electric car, but I drive a Honda Civic because it gets like 36 miles to a gallon. I'm not a vegetarian or a vegan, but I eat Impossible burgers because they're not bad and it's better for the environment.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like stuff like that. It's
yeah, dude. I'm anti-beef, but like
I love beef.
I mean, it's delicious. I'm not
like I eat Impossible burgers, but like they haven't made an Impossible steak, and I doubt they ever will. I mean, I love my steak.
My biggest thing that I want to achieve in my future moving, like when I move out and I'm like feeding myself all year round, is I just got my first deer this year, and I would love because if you go and you spend some time hunting, you can get a deer that's overpopulating the environment, and you kill it in a way more peaceful way than it would die, but through any other way in nature. And you're part of nature. Like in my mind, you're part of.
I mean, if you're a good shot, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, getting shot is way better than getting eaten alive.
You can shoot a deer in the leg, and it's gonna suffer pretty fucking bad.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean,
I couldn't hunt. I know I couldn't hunt,
but I want to hunt so I don't have to give any money to factory farming.
Yeah.
Have my own chickens and hunt my own red meat, so I'm not gonna quit meat because meat is really. It's good for you, and especially in
moderation.
Yeah, it depends.
In moderation.
It depends. Like obviously, everything's in moderation.
Yeah.
You can overdose on a banana, which is insane.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is like deer is one thing that I wish tasted better because to me, like, because we are overpopulated with deer, and it is something that it is actually bad for the environment that we're overpopulated with deer. So it's something that like. That's something that we should be eating, but we're not because a lot of people don't like deer meat. Like I can do deer meat in certain ways. Like I've had
in a pasta.
I've never had it in pasta. I've had it in chili and it's not bad, and I've had it like barbecued like brisket and it's not bad, but it's not good. But like I would never eat a venison steak. Like like it's just not. It's really gamey meat.
So I took the back straps of my deer the other day, and I just took one little fillet of it, like a steak of it, and I put it in the crock pot with a little bit of butter. We just use literally a big bit of butter, and because deer has no fat in it, pretty much. There's almost no fat in the entire thing. So I had a little bit of butter, some garlic, salt, pepper, and I slow roasted it for 4 hours. And it was just this tender, like, slow roasted meat that, like, I couldn't taste the gaminess with the slow cooking. But if you don't slow cook deer, it's got, like, this unfamiliar flavor.
Yeah. I'll cook any animal, but like I just couldn't hunt. Like I had this one time where I lived with this dude out in Brimfield that I went to high school with, and
oh, you're from Brimfield?
No, I'm from Cuyahoga Falls.
I was gonna say, if you're from Brimfield, I can't believe you're not a freaking.
He bought a house in Brimfield because he wanted a house with a little bit more land.
It's a nice house.
He got a like $220,000 home for like $135,000 because it was foreclosed, and so I went out there and lived with him, and he used to always like he hated the rabbits in his backyard because they'd eat his vegetation and shit. So he used to always shoot at the rabbits with his BB gun to like just like chase them off, kind of. And he was drunk one day, and he was out back on the deck, and he had his BB gun out, and he shot at this rabbit, and I was watching from the window, and I see him shooting, and then I see this rabbit in the yard that he's shooting at, and I just see the rabbit fall over, and I was like, oh fuck, I think he killed that rabbit, and like 5 minutes later he like goes down there and shit, and like 5 minutes later he comes in, and it started raining, and he's like sobbing, and he's like, I killed this rabbit, dude, I don't know what to do, I killed it, I gotta eat it, and he's like looking up how to skin it and shit.
Yeah, if you kill it, you have to eat it.
But he's hammered, so he does this, and he skins this fucking rabbit, and then he puts it in a roasting pan, just with like all of the blood and shit, just in this roasting pan, and he's gonna put it in the oven like that. And I'm like, dude, I hate that you did this, but like, go take a shower, because he had blood all over him and shit. I'm like, go take a shower, I'll fucking cook the rabbit, like, you know. And he was,
you need a good broth.
So basically I took the pan, I washed the pan, I took the rabbit out, I rinsed it off so it didn't have like blood on the outside of it and shit, and I put it in the roasting pan with olive oil and seasoned it up and shit. It was pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty good.
Well, rabbits, like,
but it's fucked up that he just killed a rabbit just like because he was drunk and didn't know what he was doing. Like,
dude, I'm surprised you can kill. It must have been like a pellet gun or a stronger than a BB gun.
It was one of the pump.
Yeah. Dude, because when I was a little kid, like probably 10 years old, I had those Red Ryder BB guns, and I would try and hit squirrels in the trees, and I hit one, and it just went and looked at me real angry.
Yeah. The only live thing I've ever shot was I shot a bird with a paintball gun when we were playing paintball one time. And it didn't die. It just fluttered off. But it was kind of funny.
I smacked the toad once with the BB gun real good.
I was an asshole.
Dude, when you're a little kid, you're just kind of like, what can I do? Dude, especially as a little guy, when testosterone hits your system and you wake up with a rager every day, you're like, dude, I should go shoot a bird with a paintball gun.
Yeah, but if you start like killing animals, like it's you're probably gonna be a serial killer one day. That's
I mean,
whenever you're a little kid, if you
depends how.
If you start like torturing animals and shit, you're probably gonna be a serial killer.
Yeah. Dude, I wanted to kill a squirrel so bad when I was a kid. I wanted to get one so bad because I literally just told this story a couple episodes ago, but this grandpa from my brother's baseball team, I was sitting next to him in the stands, and we were talking about, he's a hunter, and he's like, yeah, I went squirrel hunting. I make this freaking squirrel gravy and mashed potatoes, and it's so freaking good. And he brought me a dish of it the next day, and I was like, dude, this is so good. So I go on YouTube, and I'm like, how do you get a squirrel when you don't have a gun?
And so I learned how to tie a snare, like a trap for a squirrel with fishing line on YouTube. And I went and I figured it out. I set it up, and so like when you lick peanut butter off of this little like piece of wood, it grabbed the squirrel and killed it.
Yeah.
And I set it up and in the woods by my house, and I just like was just hoping one day. And I get off the bus and I can see the trap when I'm getting off the bus at school, and there's literally a squirrel there. So I'm standing at the end of the driveway, like just like distance looking at this squirrel, and it freaking goes up, licks the peanut butter off, starts to run off, and like it licks the peanut butter off and then runs off, and the trap goes up. It like nicked its tail. Like it was just too late.
Yeah.
I didn't have it like tight enough or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I just never want to kill anything. I don't know. Like I'll kill spiders.
Yeah.
I
don't kill spiders. Like I'm cool with spiders, but like dude, I'm only gonna kill it if I'm gonna eat it. That's my thing.
I had this. So I had. I don't have a fear of spiders anymore like I used to. So the reason why I had a fear of spiders was because this one time I parked under this tree at this party down by Akron U, and that night I was driving home and I saw a big ass green spider on the outside of my windshield. I just flicked it off with the windshield wipers, didn't think anything of it. And then the next day I saw another one, a green spider crawling on my windshield, and I was like, what the fuck? And like for like a month I kept seeing these green spiders. I'd be driving and one would like float down in front of me.
Were they like nesting?
Like wipe them off. So this happened for like a month. I keep seeing these green spiders, and I was like, you know what, fuck this shit. And it terrorized me. Like, you know, like I kept seeing these. I'm like, I'm gonna get in a fucking accident one day because one of these spiders is gonna float down my face and I'm gonna freak out. So I was working at Walmart at the time. I was like 20, I think, and I was driving this piece of shit Ford Tempo, 93 Ford Tempo, and I decided I was gonna spray. So I went to work right before I got out. I went to work early and I got some spider spray and I sprayed out my entire car and underneath of my car. And then I left all the windows open and I went inside to work. And 8 hours later, I come outside and I pull out my car and I noticed like a bunch of shit on the ground. And I looked and there's like 400 green spiders dead laying on the ground. Like, they just formed this huge-ass nest underneath my car. And
oh, my gosh. See, that's why you don't want to live in Florida.
Yeah.
We were talking about that earlier. You could have a snake up in your car.
Yeah, and I started having dreams about these fucking spiders. And later on, I did this thing. I don't do it anymore, but I used to dream journal.
Oh.
And
apparently you dream more when you do that.
Well, you can actually accomplish lucid dreams if you find what they call your dream sign. And I don't know that much about it anymore. I used to know more. I've forgotten a lot of it, but my dream sign was these green spiders. So whenever I saw a green spider in one of my dreams, I knew I was dreaming, and I would then be able to have a lucid dream. And it was and it was weird. But once you stop doing it, you lose it. You know what I mean? It's like it's not like riding a bike. Like once you don't do it for like a couple weeks, like you lose that. You lose the ability to do
you
it.
Journal every day to keep it going.
Yeah. All
right, we just lost the camera, so
all right,
we'll have a little blank audio clip here. But it don't hurt anybody.
Yeah,
we'll be back in like now. We were just talking about green spiders and dreams, but we only got a little bit of time left before we got to get going with the day here. So let's John, what's like your comedy week like on a typical week?
It depends. If I don't have anything new in a week, I will typically not do anything on Monday or Tuesday. I'll go to Funny Stop on Wednesday. I usually go to Hilarities on Thursday, and then I'll do whatever shows I have lined up for the weekend.
Yeah.
If I don't have any shows lined up for the weekend, I usually go to Funny Stop and do a guest spot.
Yeah. Lately on Tuesdays, I've been seeing you at Twisted Melts.
Yeah, I mean, I've had some newer shit that I've been wanting to work out. My problem is now I've got like 5 minutes that I'm going to start working this week of stuff that I think will eventually like go into my full set.
You do.
But lately, my problem has been I've been writing a lot of current event jokes, which is
They're so good though. They're so much fun.
They're
my
good.
favorite.
Yeah,
my
they're
favorite.
good, but it's like the shelf life on them is not very long.
Yeah, my Aaron Rodgers vaccine joke.
Yeah,
It's almost done.
like I was doing a joke about how Kamala Harris was president for 85 minutes, and it was a funny joke, but like
people are gonna forget that
yeah,
so quick.
Yeah, so. But I had one that I think I could use because I could say it happened about Walmart discontinuing a toy because it was in 3 different languages, and one of the languages was Polish, and the Polish song was a song about cocaine, depression, and suicide.
What?
Yeah, they never like checked it to see what the song was. It was a company in China that made it. And I think the company in China just like picked a popular song from Poland and didn't check the lyrics or anything.
That probably makes sense.
Yeah, it's messed up, but yeah, man, I have a new 5 that I'm 5 to 6 that I'm trying to work. Some of it is an old joke that I tried a long time ago and it didn't work, but I think it was because I didn't have the chops to write it.
Yeah.
Whenever I did.
Yeah.
And I reworked it, rewrote it, and I think it's gonna work.
Yeah, that's one thing I've been thinking about is like the jokes that I was telling, because I drop jokes like crazy. You know, I'm writing new jokes all the time, and I've been thinking like, man, if I go back and look at some of the jokes that I wrote in the first month and write them again with 5 months experience, it'll be at least a little bit.
They'll be better, but honestly, I would wait until
a little longer.
Yeah, I would wait until you get to the point where you get to a point in comedy where when you're writing something, you know whether it's going to do well on stage or not. Like you
definitely have a better feel.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't. I mean, sometimes you don't. Sometimes it still happens where I'll get a joke that I think's really good and it doesn't hit. But usually I can tell when a joke's going to be a killer joke or not. Yeah. And when you get to that point, then you can go back and rewrite some of your old stuff, and it's going to be a shit ton better.
Yeah.
Where it's just, you find a structure. You find your structure. Like people talk about joke structure all the time, and there is like a scientific way to do it, like that. But everybody has their own structure as well.
Yeah, their own personal style.
Yeah.
Like, I don't do freaking voice imitations, but what's that called? I mean, but
impressions. Yeah,
impressions.
Yeah.
I don't do any impressions.
I can't.
But I see people go up there, and like the guy on Friday, what was his Greg, right?
Greg Morton.
Morton. Yeah, Greg Morton. He has a million impressions, and they all murdered. You know, so like, there's so many different styles that you can do in comedy, and everyone tries to give you advice about how they do it, and it's like, all right, maybe a little bit of that's helpful to me, but my style feels a little different. But like,
everybody's style is different, and that's one thing that like, if somebody's telling you how to do comedy, like somebody can tell you that they don't think a joke works, or they can tell you how they think you should fix it, but you're gonna have to put that in your own voice.
Yeah,
like that's the thing. Like when people give you taglines, like taglines are, for people that don't know, taglines are just like an extra punchline after the punchline.
Yeah,
and people will give you taglines,
keep that joke going,
and they might be good taglines, but they're not good for you. Like you have to take that. Yeah, you have to take that tagline and then write it in your voice, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so
that makes sense.
That's it. I talked about this with Gabe Gary last night at Funny Stop. Everybody has their own path. Like there's no one path to comedy. I mean, it's just like, there's people we were talking about earlier. There's people that do comedy for 6 months, move to New York, and then they struggle their ass off for 5 years in New York, but they become a better comic for it because they threw themselves into the fire.
That's why I'm going to try and go up to LVT here soon. I hear it's tough. It's tough up there,
tough
but
room.
Like at some point I got to go and try a harder environment, you know?
That's the thing. I'll do my new shit at like probably 6 times or 7 times at open mics.
Yeah. Do you ever do the funny stuff open mic?
I am not really allowed to. So he'll let me close it out every once in a while.
Yeah,
that's what
I was gonna say, because a lot of you guys who like actually work there on the weekends, you close out every once in a while. You don't get to actually go up.
No, he won't. If you work,
once you get that co-feature contest level, you won the co-feature contest, right?
Yes.
So once you get to that level, it's amateur nights. Kind of, you're a closer, or
he'll let you close out amateur night like once a month or something. Especially if you have something coming up at the club. He'll let you close out amateur night to kind of advertise for it or whatever. Like that's about it. Like here coming up in a few weeks, I'll see if Pete. I forget when he's doing the amateur finals, but I'll see if he'll let me close out the amateur finals to advertise for New Year's Eve.
He should give you a guest set the night I host.
Yeah, when's the 21st?
21st.
You're hosting? Yeah.
He should give you a guest set that night, because I feel like that'd be. I mean, maybe he'll give you a guest set with Carter.
Yeah.
I mean. But
yeah, me and Carter are kind of bonded by when we started together. We didn't just start together. We went through everything together. With like our first year of comedy, he got first, I got second. The amateur contest, like we won the co-feature contest together. We've just been working together up until the point that he moved to Cincinnati, and then even I went down to Cincinnati to do a couple shows with him down there. But yeah, He's one of my favorites. I'll definitely be there. I'll come the night. What night of the week is the one?
It's a Tuesday, Wednesday. He's Wednesday, I'm Tuesday.
Yeah, I'll come to that. That's. I don't do shit on Tuesdays unless I go to Twisted Melts.
Yeah.
Anyways,
dude, might as well. I mean, it'd be a good guest set. It's gonna be. I mean, we got me. It's me, Cam Vanderhorst, and then Kate Quigley. But I feel like there's room for a guest set if there's only like a host and a feature.
Yeah, he'll give guest sets those nights. But yeah, man, it's there's a lot of shit like crowd work. Don't even try it.
I've been thinking about doing it at Barmacy for like my first minute or two to try and get my hosting skills up.
Yeah,
you get 10 at Barmacy.
Well, you definitely don't ever want to do crowd work when you're hosting.
Well, like I guess
you ask
necessarily not crowd work, but like talking to the crowd a little
bit.
Yeah,
you ask when you're hosting. You ask if anybody's celebrating anything or whatever, and that's like as far as you go with talking to the crowd with hosting, because you don't want to talk to the crowd and get the crowd used to talking to the comedians, and then you have either a feature or a headliner that doesn't do crowd work, and you kind of fuck them over.
That's good to know. That's good to know. But I guess if you know your feature, and your headliner pretty well, and they're crowd work guys, you could.
Yeah.
But you'd have to know that situation to be able to do it. Okay, that's good to know though. Yeah. I don't do crowd work. I don't talk to the crowd. Like I'll call out. I'll say something to people in the crowd. But like it's pre-planned.
Yeah, and the biggest advice I can give anybody on that is I don't want to say for sure, but I think it was Chris Harvey that told me when I first started that when it comes to responding to the crowd, so if somebody in the crowd says something and it's loud enough for the whole audience to hear it, you have two things. You either think of something. Something pops in your head that's funny, that's not mean, and you say that immediately. Or if you don't think of anything funny, just move on. You don't have to address it.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing, because if you attack the crowd, it's going to turn the whole crowd, especially if it's something insignificant.
Yeah, exactly. Like if someone's chit-chat. We talked about this actually. Yeah, I have the story of my first like response to a heckler, and I talked about that on the Brown Petri Dish, which will probably be out. It's pretty
Tuesday.
It'll be out the same time this podcast is out. So if you want to go check out that story, go check out the Brown Petri Dish. I tell the story of the first time getting heckled and having a response, but like I don't know like the thing, but it just came to me that time, and it was like, oh, this felt natural to say something back to this person, you know?
Yeah.
But like if someone was chit chatting in the back of the room, I don't see like people will be like, hey, you guys are talking back there. Shut the F up. I got the microphone.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I mean, there's a point where it gets to that point where, like, if it becomes to where it's becoming a problem, then you shut them down and you be mean. Like, that's if it gets to be a problem. But if it's just some drunk person that just responds to one of your jokes, you can either say something funny about it, or you can move on and the crowd's not gonna give a fuck either way.
Yeah,
you know, I mean, it's.
I mean, and like, I don't have much experience with this, but I feel like anything anyone can say, even if it's like it breaks your train of thought, you lose your place, you can always look at them and be like, hey, thanks for that. I lost my train of thought. Screw you. Like, it's such an easy, like, what are you doing? Like it's not, you don't have to be crazy. You don't have to have the best line. You don't have to murder every heckler, you know?
Yeah.
You know,
crowd work's tough, man. It is. I failed miserably. Joke's on You is a show at Hilarities where it's nothing but crowd work. They do it the last Sunday of every month. You should go to it. It's awesome.
Yeah, crowd work shows are amazing. It's a great date. If you can sit up front, crowd work shows, sitting up front with a on a date, it's like you guys are gonna have a great time.
Yeah, but the first time I did it, Hilarities is a big deal to me. I'm still trying to get booked at Hilarities, and it's a big deal to me. So the first time I did it, I was nervous as fuck. And I'm never nervous before I do a set. And
oh, really?
No, never.
I'm nervous every set.
And I almost threw up the first time I went up at Hilarities. And I did okay for the first, like, minute and a half, 2 minutes. And then I got to this lady, and I asked her if there was something about her job that makes her nervous. And she says, yeah. I said, what's your job? She said, I'm a 911 operator. And I asked the stupidest question in the world. I said, what was the worst phone call you've ever gotten?
Oh, worst.
Yeah.
You should have had
Stupid fucking
say
question.
Funniest, man.
And so she says, I had somebody commit suicide on the phone with me, and my first thought was a suicide joke that popped into my head. My second thought was, don't do a suicide joke your first time on stage at Hilarities. And so I just moved on, and my set kind of petered out, and it was I felt like I was drowning.
That's the one thing, like, because I only did that crowd work show the one time at the Funny Stop, and I was so new to comedy, I should not have been doing that. Yeah. But I mean, it actually helped me a lot with like, what's the worst thing that can happen? You know?
Yeah.
Like,
well, that's how I think. This past Sunday, I went back and did Jokes on You again, and I did well. And I think it was because I had that mindset. I was like, I can't do worse than I did last time. Yeah. You know, I mean, it was that, like, I didn't really give a fuck. Because it's like, it's not going to be worse. You know, I'm a better comic now. I've been doing crowd work at the crowd work show at Funny Stop, which is the hardest because there's only like 8 people there on Thursday night sometimes.
Yeah, you got to hit the same people that the last guy hit. You know?
Yeah. And so that, I think that really helped with my crowd work. And will I ever use crowd work a lot when I'm doing a feature set or something? Probably not, but it's good to have in your back pocket. I mean,
you never know when it's going to come in necessary. Because, like, you know, some guy could start talking in the crowd, and that could lead you to a whole couple minutes on doing some crowd work. Yeah. Oh, shoot. Jim Florentine, when I went to see him, it was right after the crowd work show, one crowd work show that I watched, and, you know, he was headlining that next couple days, and he asked one question to me and my girlfriend, and like he said, like, you know, do you ever, like, what's something like you do that it's like a couple thing that, like, as a guy you would never just go do with your bros? And I was like, oh yeah, me and my girlfriend are about to go pumpkin picking. It's fall, you know.
Yeah, and he went into his apple picking joke.
Yep.
Probably, that's not really...
Well, he did his apple picking joke before that, then asked me the question.
Oh, okay.
And then he went on for 10 minutes doing pumpkin picking and, like, different things. Like, he kept that joke rolling with that little thing, that one little question he asked.
Yeah.
And he freaking, he murdered the crowd.
Yeah, that's what you call prepared crowd work. That's stuff that you ask a question that you already have your response to whatever the answer is going to be. Like that's prepared crowd work.
Yeah.
That's
and he kept bringing up pumpkin picking the rest of the night.
That's
you know?
funny. That's funny shit when you can do that. I mean, it's pre-planned, so it's not as impressive to comics, but to audience members don't know that it's pre-planned. Yeah, you know.
And yeah, crowd work in general is super impressive, but like. Also, I'm also as impressed by a great written act. It's all
Mary Santora, incredible with crowd work. I mean, she is insane with crowd work. I went to go see her at Hilarities. I think it was like 2 weeks ago. She headlined a Thursday night, and she did like 20 minutes of crowd work that just murdered. Wow. I mean, it was just
Some people have
Crazy.
that muscle.
Yeah.
And brain muscle.
I saw her do at Funny Stop one night. I saw her do 5 minutes on a guy saying that he liked to do puzzles, like just like
on puzzles.
roasting on this dude for doing for his hobby being doing puzzles. Like, and it was like, how the fuck do you come up with this shit? And it's experience. That's all it is. Because like I said on Brown Petri Dish, whenever you were on, it's whenever you're done with a show and you had an interaction with an audience member, you always think, what could I have said? Mm-hmm. And then once you think that and you come up with what you could have said, that's in your head. So next time that same situation happens, you have that response.
Yeah, and that muscle is flexed. You know, that muscle is flexed a little bit, and like, it's something that's super, super important, I think, to have a little bit of, like, you need to get as much of that in as possible. Like, that's why I love the Barmacy show.
Yeah.
Is, a lot of those people were just there to get a couple drinks, and then a comedy show starts, and they're like, oh, shoot, what's going on? They'll talk to you. They'll talk to you in that room.
We have a drunken guy with his pants all the way undone walking around the bar. Like, that's... Oh, yeah. Pharmacy's so unpredictable, man. I love it.
Dude, there was one guy, the one night, freaking... He was wearing No, he wasn't. He was wearing a Kareem Hunt jersey, and he was interrupting everybody's set. And I tell this jerk off joke about, and like I make a reference to a cantaloupe, and he starts yelling out, "What about the peanut butter?" And I just was like, dude, do I need to call PETA? Like, is your dog okay? And after the show, he came up to me and was like, dude, that was great. Like, he loved it that I came back at him.
That's great. But yeah, man, Barmacy's fun. That's one thing I would like to do as part of like my contribution to the Cleveland Akron comedy scene is start shows, and I don't like producing shows. So what I think I could do to contribute is to start shows and then pass them on to somebody else, which is what I did that with Grindstone, with Brandon, and I've kind of done that now with Barmacy, and Matt Farkas and Jared Bailey took it over. And that was basically our plan from the beginning when Farkas...
I like Jared's humor a lot. I like his style.
Yeah, when Farkas first asked me, because Wally, the owner of Barmacy, approached Farkas about doing the shows at Barmacy, and Farkas couldn't do it because he worked Sundays, so he asked me to do it. And I told him from the get-go, like, yeah, but I can't do it on a permanent basis because I'm a Brown season ticket holder. Like, I can't commit to doing something every Sunday, you know? So our plan was for me to do it until football season and then kind of pass it off on somebody else. We didn't know at the time that Farkas's work schedule was going to change and he was going to be able to do it on Sundays. Yeah. So now him and Jared rotate.
Yeah, him and Jared rotate. Yeah, I don't go every Sunday to that one just because, you know, when there's a Browns game, I'm watching the Browns game. I'm usually like, I'm a little drunk. I don't want to get a ride. And so...
Yeah, and I think Harrison Pool's about to start up a room in Kent. I don't know what night.
Hopefully freaking Monday.
But I told him if I had to, I would sub in for him if I needed to or whatever.
Yeah. Dude, I want to get in Portage Lakes here. There's a couple bars on the lake, and I just sent out some emails to try and get a Monday night show.
Dude, I would love it.
Lake bars.
I personally... I don't think he remembers me anymore, but I personally don't really like the owner of Upper Deck, but Upper Deck would be an awesome place to have a comedy show. He's got... I used to work next door to him, so I worked at Brewbakers in the Valley, and he owned Johnny J's in the Valley.
He owns a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he owns all the Johnny J's, and I just didn't like him.
The way he treats, the way that the stories I hear from the girls that work for him it's upsetting.
Yeah. If he was a celebrity, he would have been canceled. I mean,
I actually don't know like how stuff hasn't
Yeah.
come out or something.
I've never liked the guy, but I love that bar and their patio that they have there, and I think it would be an awesome place for a comedy show.
Mm-hmm.
But I personally wouldn't want to work with that owner. So, but if somebody else put on a show there, I would still do it. I mean,
yeah, so the first place I asked, he actually owns part of every bar on the lake.
what the fuck? Yeah.
So but he doesn't. That's the one he actually runs.
Yeah.
The upper deck.
Yeah.
And so like. There's 2 other bars on the lake, and I started with the one Pix, and I sent him out an email and gave a call to the place and was like, hey, I want to talk to the owner about doing a show called Laughs on the Lakes on Mondays, a little comedy show, putting it together, seeing if I'd probably be like, hey, me and Blake can run this, something like that. Just I think I definitely need someone who's been in the game a little and knows a lot more people.
Yeah, Blake's run a show before, shit. So
yeah, I mean. And also just doing comedy for almost 2 years or
Yeah.
whatever, you have met enough people to be able to post on Facebook and
get
a note.
Yeah, everybody knows who Blake is.
Yeah, get some comedy to get some people to show up. And I think a show on the lakes, these bars aren't struggling to get people in them, which is nice. But that's also a reason to be like, oh, they might not have a
Right, they
show.
don't need a comedy show. Yeah, that's what happened actually with from what I heard, that's what happened with East End, because there used to be a show at East End in Lakewood, and after the pandemic, they were so busy all the time, they're like, we don't really need it anymore.
To
so
bring anyone in,
so they didn't bring it back.
Which is kind of sucky, but like if you catch an owner who's into comedy,
yeah,
and even when it comes to the bars owned by that guy, I'm not gonna shout his name out here, but that guy, even the bars owned by him, his managers do most of the running at the bars. So if you have if you have a manager there who is into comedy, that's what you need. Is you need someone who likes comedy as themselves.
Yeah.
We're getting pretty in here. We only got another couple minutes here, but let's just go ahead and tell us what your upcoming shows are. Tell us about your social media, and we'll wrap up here.
Yeah, I have High and Dry in Tremont at High and Dry. It's High and Dry Bar and Arcade or Bowling Alley or some shit like that. But that's on December 30th. That's Bill Squire's show in Tremont. It's a really great show. You should come out to that. And then the next night, New Year's Eve, I'm at the Funny Stop with Brendan Ayer headlining, and also Bill Stone and W. Scott Ween. That'll be a phenomenal show.
There's a good deal on food, right?
Yeah, they're doing dinner packages, a buffet. You get a champagne toast. I'm not sure what the prices are, but you can go to funnystop.com for all that stuff.
I think a couple is like $75 for you get 2 people for $75. You get the buffet and the champagne and.
It seems expensive,
and your ticket in. You got to think about these. If this was a regular show, it'd be a $15-$20 ticket.
Right? Yeah. And it seems expensive, but I looked at like other comedy clubs like Hilarities and some other ones, and they're almost double the price for the New Year's Eve show. So it's a pretty good deal. If you get your tickets before December 23rd, you get $10 off.
Yeah.
So do that. And then listen to my podcast, Brown Petri Dish. We kind of do
podcast.
Yeah, we kind of do what we did today, where we talk about comedy in the beginning, then we get into politics and news, and then we talk about comedy at the end. Wrap it up. Yeah, I kind of pushed Duke into my format.
Yeah, we literally did the same order.
Yeah, but that and follow me at John Brown Comedy on Twitter and Instagram. I mean, you can follow me on TikTok, but I've never posted anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I get like one more follower out of this for Instagram, I'm happy.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Come out to the Funny Stop on December 21st as well for Kate Quigley. I'll be hosting. That's my only date coming up, but it'll be a good show. It'll be Kate Quigley. I don't know anything about her, but you told me that she's a great comedian.
Yeah, she's pretty funny. Yeah,
you said you liked her.
Yeah, she was good. I saw her a little over a year ago, I think. She was really good.
So that'll be a good show. Come check out John's shows. Check out John's podcast. John's podcast is really, really good. I personally I have only recently started listening to podcasts, but I love Blake's episode.
Yeah.
That was a really good one just because I know Blake so well. But
yeah, we've had basically, like, if you want to get to know the Cleveland comedy scene, that's our niche. Like, we've had basically every comic on that's anybody, except for, like, we haven't had some of the headliners on, like Bill Squire we're going to have on eventually. Mara Santora is super busy. We haven't had her on. But, like, Brian Kenny is a extremely underrated comic. He's a headliner.
Yeah.
He is fucking hilarious. He's one of my favorites. He's like Cleveland's Tom Segura, in my opinion. Like,
really? I think Tom Segura's the funniest man on the planet.
He's brilliant. Every single one of his jokes is like 5 minutes long, and I love it.
Really?
But yeah, Brian Kenny's a good episode. Tim Wolf's one of my favorite comics. That was a really good episode. And I think our most popular was probably Joe Graham, because it was Joe Graham and Joe Briggs.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a little unplanned, but it was one of our funniest episodes.
Did you have Carter on?
Check that out. Yeah, we've actually had Carter on twice. So Carter is on at the very beginning when we sucked at podcasting. He was also on when Brandon was on vacation, and it was me, him, and Jimmy Killius. Jimmy Killius has been on 3 times. It's also always a good episode.
Yeah, Carter was the one of the biggest episodes of Dream Tour. It was almost 500 views on YouTube, and then
crazy.
Listens on top of that. So his episode blew up on YouTube. So it was him and the JB Jewelers were the ones that blew up for me. And so if you guys like that Carter episode and you're followers of the channel, go ahead and check Carter out on there too.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys for listening, and thanks for checking Duke It Out. Like, subscribe, follow us on Spotify and Apple Music. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, man.
Thanks for coming.